In the bustling Las Vegas Convention Hall, a 79-year-old Chuck Norris seemed destined to be dismissed as a has-been. What started as a dignified martial arts event escalated into tension when Steven Seagal ridiculed him for being past his prime and demanded a live confrontation. Chuck Norris wasn't an ordinary retired star. For more than 4 decades, he had excelled as a global champion, a film legend, and a U.S. Air Force alumnus. Famous not only for his signature roundhouse kick but for transforming fighting into a way of life. When Seagal issued the dare, he didn't realize he was confronting someone whose core skills outshone any elaborate moves. Norris advanced with calm accuracy, offering a reply so understated that it rattled Seagal's assurance and thrilled the crowd. What opened as arrogance evolved into insight. The Las Vegas martial arts tribute would linger in memory not for showmanship, but for the evening when restraint, modesty, and quiet triumphed over any brag. Before we dive deeper, share where you're watching from. And if this tale resonates with you, be sure to subscribe since I've got a unique treat lined up for tomorrow. The Las Vegas Convention Center thrummed with excitement. A crowd occupied every chair. Beams of light cut through staged mists, throwing striking outlines over the main platform where icons were set to appear. This wasn't a standard martial arts display. It was a gathering of trailblazers who shaped eras next to emerging talents aiming to reshape tomorrow. In the prime seating, cordoned off by a plush barrier and a pair of stern protectors, was Chuck Norris. At 79, the creases on his visage had grown, charting years of rigor and insight. His stance stayed flawless, back aligned, shoulders level, palms gently on his legs. He dressed in a plain black shirt and trousers, without flair or extra details. He showed up ahead of time, skipped the exclusive access for celebrities, and greeted each crew member who came near. Now he observed silently, sometimes dipping his head to recognize admirers gesturing from afar. "That's the guy," murmured Miguel Santos, a rising welterweight with 3 pro victories and ambitions larger than his stats. He elbowed his sparring buddy. Darius' gaze widened. The fellow created his own fighting style. Not tweaked. Not altered, created. Darius agreed, eyeing Chuck from the opposite side of the venue. "My grandpa hung his picture up." Claimed Chuck was genuine before genuine turned into a cliché. The audience's hum abruptly grew into animated talk. The primary doors had parted, bordered by aides, photographers, and apparently a dedicated filmmaker. Amid this organized frenzy strode Steven Seagal. His dark silk top opened low enough to reveal an array of mystical pendants and a broad view of his torso. His iconic ponytail was flawless. His shades stayed on despite the subdued venue illumination. "Steven, this way," photographers shouted, flashes popping as Seagal halted, pivoting to present what he deemed his top pose. "The guy understands arrivals," Miguel noted, observing as Seagal slapped palms with admirers crowding the fences, his jewelry sparkling in the glow. "That's the game now," Darius responded evenly. Getting noticed, the event's host, ex-world champ Thomas Chen, met Seagal midway along the walkway, directing him to the elite area where other martial arts notables had assembled. The route led straight by Chuck Norris. "Folks," the MC's tone echoed through the space, briefly overwhelming the lively buzz. "Greetings to masters through eras, where icons and inheritances meet. This evening, we honor the enduring essence of martial arts, via those who forged it and those who advance it." The spectators burst out, their shared vibe shaking the structure's base. On the large display, clips started rolling, classic bouts, memorable film sequences, practice sessions across years. The compilation switched between shots of Chuck Norris's crushing roundhouse strikes and his patient guidance of novice combatants, then moved to views of Seagal performing his hallmark Aikido tosses. While the reel ran, Seagal arrived at the elite zone. Chen pointed to the vacant spot saved beside Chuck. "Steven, I think you're familiar with Chuck Norris." Chuck rose, offering his palm with a polite incline. "Steven, nice to encounter you." Seagal gripped Chuck's palm shortly, his hold showily strong, his grin not fully warming his gaze under the tinted lenses. "Chuck still attending these gatherings, I notice." "Wouldn't skip it," Chuck answered steadily. "These emerging combatants merit our backing." Seagal took his place, promptly signaling a helper for hydration. "Backing is fine. Recognizing when to bow out is different." If Chuck caught the jab, his face betrayed nothing. He just resumed his position, attention shifting back to the platform where the event's opening show was due to start. On the far side of the venue, Riley Matthews, the event's chief questioner, reviewed her prep as a cosmetics specialist, applied last adjustments. At 35, Riley had earned acclaim for depth and courtesy in a field frequently ruled by hype. Tonight's interview roster would include pivotal talks with the builders of contemporary martial arts. 2 minutes, Riley, her director, relayed via her headset. Seagal first, then we'll catch Norris amid the kickboxing segment. Riley confirmed, glancing over her info once more. Seagal's latest endeavors had gone straight to streaming at most, his appearances more and more filled with bold assertions about covert official duties and ties to global figures. Chuck, conversely, had withdrawn from fame, emphasizing his nonprofit work and sporadic coaching of talented prospects. The initial show, a stunning presentation of classic kung fu routines, carried out by identical siblings who sensed like reflections, wrapped up to eager claps. As the pair inclined and departed, the MC's voice resumed. Folks, all night, we'll hear from the experts directly. Kindly greet Riley Matthews, handling special chats for this broadcast. Riley advanced to the elite area, film team following. Seagal was already fixing his neckline, gearing up for the focus. She saw Chuck move a bit, making room for the team unprompted. Mr. Seagal, Riley started when the indicator lit. Greetings to masters through eras. You've ruled martial arts films for years. What's it like viewing your effect on current combatants and performers? Seagal reclined, his pose broad. It's touching. Honestly, when you lead the way, when you introduce real Aikido to audiences as I did, legacy isn't on your mind. But surveying the scene, I spot my methods all over. These fresh combatants, these new performers, they're all drawing from my foundation. Riley inclined professionally. Your Aikido roots definitely added a fresh element to fighting films. On the topic of effects, we have multiple eras of icons here this evening. How do you describe the progression of martial arts from the originators to modern experts? A change occurred in Seagal's look, a deliberate spark under the shaded lenses. He pivoted a little, making sure the lens got his side as he motioned loosely toward Chuck. Progression fits perfectly. Martial arts advances and experts must advance too. Some manage, he halted for impact. Others fall back. Take Chuck there, excellent in his era. No offense, but things shift. Chuck's 79, right? Past fighting age. Stuck in old methods, that's fact. A shared inhale spread among nearby listeners. Riley's expert grin wavered briefly. Chuck stayed utterly motionless, his respiration steady. I deliver novelty, Seagal went on, tone elevating to reach further. My Aikido is dynamic, flexible. That's why I stay current, while others fade to recollections. The quiet afterward appeared to grow, saturating the venue despite ambient tunes and far-off chats. Riley's director whispered urgently in her audio. Pursue that. This is prime. But prior to Riley forming a query, the audience's whisper turned into a rhythm, beginning with scattered calls in the elite area and expanding like waves. Chuck. Chuck, Chuck. Every gaze fixed on Chuck Norris, who maintained his serene demeanor, apparently unmoved by the slight just thrown across the fighting community. The lens swung to record his reply. And in that instant of hushed expectation, the assembled multitudes pondered alike. What would the icon say? Riley Matthews sensed perspiration forming at her scalp, her director's words humming in her ear. Hold on this, hold on this. The rhythm intensified. Chuck, Chuck, Chuck. As myriad gazes directed at the individual who had marked a period of martial arts. Steven Seagal's grin stayed set, though a hint registered behind his shades as the audience's feedback sank in. He'd anticipated chuckles maybe, or at minimum the uneasy shifting that admits a line overstepped. Instead, the venue had become a symphony backing the exact person he'd tried to belittle. Chuck Norris kept immobile, his seasoned visage disclosing none of the ideas behind his firm stare. The sole noticeable alteration was a mild easing near his eyes as he noted the rhythmic crowd. When he eventually stirred, it lacked the justified fury many awaited, but featured the intentional serenity of someone who had weathered much fiercer tempests than a peer's bruised pride. Mr. Norris, Riley regrouped swiftly, moving the mic his way. Do you wish to reply? Chuck's tone upon emerging held no hint of protection. I value Steven's viewpoint. We each perceive reality via our personal paths. The plainness of the answer appeared to unsettle Seagal briefly. He adjusted in his chair, metallic bands tinkling as he realigned his form. But Chuck proceeded, every term deliberate. I've long held that martial arts transcends age. It's about control, honor, and ongoing growth. He angled a bit toward Seagal, locking eyes straight. I keep growing daily. That's my purpose here. The audience burst anew now with cheers instead of rhythms. Seagal's grin strained a touch. Growth is fine, Seagal interjected, volume rising above the noise. But eventually the physique can't perform what the intellect grasps. That's not insult, it's science. He motioned widely. The fresh wave requires room to create, not remnants from history. In the combatant area, Miguel bent ahead, eyes broad. Is he really persisting? Darius shook his head gradually. Guy lacks stopping sense. The venue's strain evolved, solidifying into a force beyond simple star intrigue. This now concerned a core element for all attendees: regard for the process. Recognition of the trail blazed ahead. Riley, detecting the gravity, tried to guide to calmer topics. You both have added vastly to martial arts. Maybe we might. Let's resolve it. Seagal cut off, discarding his shades with flair. Not via talk. That's the charm of martial arts, isn't it? Evidence via deed. He faced Chuck completely. I suggest a display. Immediately, on that platform. Illustrate to these young combatants what ongoing growth appears as at 79. The audience hushed. The group breath nearly heard. Film teams rotated, recording the scene from all sides. Online platforms would surge in moments. Thomas Chen advanced, his expression a managed display of worry. Gentlemen, this evening's program follows a precise agenda. Agendas can shift. Seagal inserted fluidly. Correct, Chuck. Unless you'd rather preserve your history safely in yesteryear unchallenged. Chuck's look stayed steady. But a nearly unseen alignment of his back occurred. A minor reposition of his palms on his knees. When he voiced, his tone reached every part of the abruptly silent venue. A display. It wasn't inquiry, but declaration. 4 brief sounds bearing the gravity of half a century's rigor. Seagal's grin broadened, victorious. A basic interaction. Reveal to these folks what's genuine, what's current. Chuck inclined once, then stood with the smooth flow of someone decades younger. The audience's feedback was instant: hoots, ovations, and a fresh rhythm of his name echoing across the tiers. Chuck lifted a palm a bit, and the din lessened. His understated command drawing focus effortlessly. I didn't arrive tonight to demonstrate anything, he stated, tone distinct but not amplified. But I've never declined a chance to develop. The nuance was fine but clear, reframing Seagal's dare not as ego defense, but as one more instance in a life of progress. Several junior combatants inclined unconsciously, identifying the outlook that distinguished experts from basic users. Seagal rose too, pulling at his silk sleeves. Ideal. A development chance for all. He pointed to the platform with a dramatic arc. Ready. Riley's director was nearly yelling in her audio. Follow them. No matter what, maintain recording. As the pair headed to the platform, the throng separated naturally, forming a lane. Their differing styles were instantly evident. Seagal marching forward, greeting the throng with inclines and gestures, his group hurrying to match. Chuck proceeding evenly, gaze locked on the platform, sometimes halting to clasp a proffered palm or recognize a seasoned combatant with a courteous incline. In the combatant zone, a strained discussion arose. Seagal's active yet practices every day, Miguel contended. Chuck hasn't done a public show in, say, 5 years. Irrelevant, Darius rebutted. Basics endure. And Chuck's basics weren't for display. But Aikido versus Karate, varied distances, varied outlooks. A senior trainer close by chimed in. That's the essence. Lads, this transcends methods. It's about what's underneath. As Chuck neared the platform stairs, a youthful combatant scarcely 20, with the edgy vibe of a circuit newcomer, advanced tentatively. Mr. Norris, he uttered, voice scarcely above the throng. My grandpa learned from you in the 70s. Said it transformed him. He offered a palm. Just needed to express gratitude. Chuck stopped, entirely engaged despite the venue's charged vibe. He gripped the youth's palm solidly. Your name, young man? Jason Miller, sir. Your grandpa passed it on. Jason affirmed, startled. Chuck linked it. Then thanks go to you, Chuck murmured. You're advancing it. He looked to the platform where Seagal was shedding accessories, passing items to aides. That's key. With that, Chuck climbed the stairs and entered between the cords with the familiarity of ingrained recall that never dims. The platform, having featured various shows all night, now appeared altered. No more just a stage but sacred territory where something real would occur. The MC, sensing the seriousness, used a softer pitch. Folk, we have the honor of seeing an impromptu show between 2 martial arts giants, Steven Seagal and Chuck Norris. Seagal had shed his silk layer. showing a snug black top that highlighted his robust frame. At 67, he stayed commanding, tall, wide-shouldered, his actions intentional and stable as he flexed his arms and circled his neck. Chuck undertook no such setups. He merely positioned in the middle, arms loose by his flanks, regarding Seagal with the tolerant concentration of someone who had devoted a life to interpreting rivals' aims before they recognized them. Thomas Chen entered the platform, clearly divided between duty worry and awareness of the instance's importance. "Gentlemen, recall this is a showcase, a display solely," Seagal affirmed generously. "Naturally, a cordial interaction among peers." Chuck just tilted his head in confirmation. Chen glanced between them again, then retreated, lifting his arm. When prepared. The venue grew so still that Seagal's faint weight transfer from rear to front foot reached those closest. He orbited gradually, palms up in standard Aikido form, inviting Chuck nearer with a minor signal. "Age precedes allure, Chuck," he voiced. "Pitch set to travel. Display what you possess." Chuck stayed centered, his position neither guarding nor assaulting, merely there. "Proceed, Steven." A flash crossed Seagal's visage. Maybe annoyance at the absence of interaction. Maybe real doubt on approaching a rival who presented neither hostility to reroute nor worry to leverage. He inched nearer, palms tracing the rounded paths typical of his approach. "Let's go, Chuck," he shouted louder. "Don't delay us." Some retain professions to resume. Sharing and crafting this tale required much effort. So if it's appealing to you, join our channel. It supports us greatly. Now resuming the tale. A ripple went through the throng, mix of strain and unease, at the ever-clearer efforts to incite. Chuck's look never altered. He just repositioned faintly, keeping identical spacing from Seagal despite the other's motion. Irritation sparked on Seagal's face. He advanced more resolutely, grasping for Chuck's arm in a standard Aikido start. "Allow me to illustrate modern methods." What ensued flowed so seamlessly that numerous spectators later claimed they overlooked it. Even in reruns, as Seagal's arms stretched, Chuck's form adjusted subtly, neither withdrawing nor striking, merely adjusting. Seagal's hold encountered void as Chuck rotated a bit, permitting the bigger man's force to propel him ahead. Unsteady, Seagal regained swiftly, converting the trip into a rounded step that positioned him for another try. This round, his action was keener, less staged, more intent. He initiated a blend, a fake seize trailed by a quick hand thrust at Chuck's arm. Chuck's counter was sparse to near unseen, a minor lean of his body, a fine reroute with his limb, and Seagal's blow glided past safely. No retaliation, no use of the gap, just serene nullification. The cycle recurred thrice more, each of Seagal's advances intensifying, each of Chuck's counters staying calculated and small. The difference grew obvious. Seagal's rising effort versus Chuck's calm, complex method versus basic rule. In the tears, Miguel murmured to Darius, "He's barely acting." "Why no offense?" The senior trainer bent forward once more. "He's handling all. Observe his base, not his limbs." Truly, while Seagal's actions were openly lively, broad arm sweeps, bold steps, Chuck's changes were almost unnoticeable. Only nearest watchers saw how he steadily held his equilibrium. How each mass shift aligned exactly to nullify Seagal's methods without clash. A drop of moisture slid down Seagal's side as he halted, re-evaluating. The grin had vanished from his face, swapped for creased focus. The simple win he'd expected wasn't happening. "Engaging guard tactic," he announced, tone a bit winded. "But guard solo never secured battles, Chuck." Chuck's answer was soft, but traveled distinctly in the quiet venue. "I'm not present to secure a battle, Steven." The basic declaration lingered, its meaning settling on the spectators. This wasn't rivalry for Chuck. It was a showcase of rule, precisely as suggested. A change happened in Seagal's look, affirming, a sharpening of attention. When he acted again, it carried more purpose. He narrowed space fast, performing a rapid sequence that would impress regardless of years, a broad entry, a hold point, and a drop move done with skill accuracy. For the initial time, Chuck countered beyond inactive reroute. As Seagal's palms secured their clasp, Chuck shifted not back, but in, entering Seagal's power zone. His actions were sharp, effective, lacking the squandered vigor that had started to mark Seagal's ever-stronger tries. The ensuing interaction endured maybe 3 seconds, but progressed with such transparency that even novice viewers could track it. Seagal's edge in stature and mass vanished against Chuck's ideal rhythm. His tried hold became brief disarray as Chuck's spot changed suddenly. And then, in an instant that would replay countless times online by dawn, Chuck performed a basic sweep that snagged Seagal mid-stride. The descent wasn't theatrical. No aerial flip, no harsh landing. Just the unavoidable outcome of disrupted equilibrium meeting soft but unyielding guidance. Seagal ended on a knee. Chuck's palm gently but solidly on his arm, halting extra force, but providing aid. The scene paused in ideal image. Seagal down, Chuck beside, neither victorious nor controlling but stabilizing. Then, with identical soft command that marked his every action, Chuck offered his palm. Solid interaction, he stated plainly. Appreciate it. The throng exploded. The prior minute's strain melting into booming gratitude, not for win or loss. Neither existed traditionally, but for the clear showcase of martial arts essence. Streamlining over dazzle, rule over persona, honor over pride. Seagal stayed immobile a bit longer, his look indecipherable. Then, with clear strain, he took Chuck's palm and stood. In the tears, the youth Jason Miller pivoted to his group, gaze wide, with the awareness of seeing something described, but not grasped till now. That, he murmured, is what my grandpa intended. The cheers persisted in surges, dotted with rhythms of Chuck, Chuck, Chuck rising from all areas at once. Lens bursts flashed over the platform, seizing the scene from myriad views. Seagal upright now, arranging his traits into what he trusted looked like kind rivalry. Chuck palms still proffered in the sign of shared honor that bookended classic sessions. Riley Matthews, director, was almost panting in her audio. Enter there. Secure the initial remark. Proceed. But as Riley neared the platform, mic out, Thomas Chen blocked her with a fine but solid touch on her limb. Allow them space, he whispered. His gaze, lined from years of personal practice, carried a surety that allowed no debate. Certain matters require air before packaging. Within the platform, the duo positioned in brief seclusion, despite the masses observing. Seagal wiped unseen particles from his leg, repositioning to regain a trace of the commanding aura that had been smoothly countered. Decent for a veteran, he uttered, volume low so only Chuck heard. But I restrained. Showcase guidelines. Chuck's reply was a basic incline. Likewise, no stress, no concealed sting, merely recognition of mutual insight. A flash crossed Seagal's visage, maybe awareness. Maybe the initial spark of true honor before he could answer. Yet, the instant shattered by his group's arrival at the platform edge, aides offering hydration and cloths with the eager skill of those whose roles hinged on predicting unvoiced wants. Steven. Lenses and devices thrust toward the platforms. What transpired? Planned. Seagal faced the calls, his communal self resuming. He took a cloth with a stage brow wipe, then showed a grin that missed his gaze, merely exchanging expertise with a longtime peer. You understand. Some grasp quicker. The quip landed dull, its clear face, saving bid dangling oddly in the atmosphere. Chuck, meanwhile, had withdrawn, yielding the focus with the identical simplicity he commanded the platform before. He inclined once to Seagal, then pivoted to the cords where various junior combatants had collected, their looks a blend of wonder and fresh regard. Among them was Jason Miller, the youth whose grandpa had practiced under Chuck years prior. His gaze gleamed with the specific glow of someone seeing validation of a fact they'd heard, but not yet lived. Mr. Norris, he started tentatively as Chuck neared. That was I've never observed such. Chuck's seasoned visage folded into a true grin. Not the rehearsed lens-friendly look from his movie period, but the kind recognition of joint comprehension. What observed Jason? The query surprised the youth. He'd expected clichés, or the sort of broad insight icons dispensed to sustain aura. Instead, Chuck's probe was direct, precise guide to learner. I observed Jason halted, sorting his ideas. Streamlining zero excess action and another aspect, he hunted for terms, like you engaged in an entirely separate dialogue than him. Chuck affirmed. Glad your grandpa instructed you effectively. Close by, Miguel and Darius had inched nearer, pulled by the uncommon chance to absorb knowledge straight from origin instead of via tales and online snippets. But he approached intensely. Miguel added, unable to hold his puzzlement. Some methods appeared strong. Why no retort? Display your skills. Chuck's demeanor stayed tolerant. What would that confirm? The basic query lingered as the youth swapped looks. That he heard about you, Darius suggested. That you retain it. Was that the focus? Chuck inquired softly. The combatants quieted, rethinking the interaction they'd seen via fresh view. Chuck went on, his tone soft enough they bent closer to catch over the humming throng. Over 50 years in martial arts, I've discovered the urge to validate to others is the heaviest load you'll bear. And dropping it marks when you start truly grasping what all this emotion to the platform truly serves. At the platform's heart, Seagal held session, his tone traveling as he shared his view to the bunch of journalists who pushed ahead. Definitely a fine skill swap. Chuck's bases are firm. Nobody doubts that. But you noted his guard-heavy style. That's vintage mindset, endure over command. Current martial arts scene requires extra. Chuck either missed or ignored the remarks. His concentration stayed on the youth circle, whose count grew as news traveled through the participant zone that Chuck Norris shared thoughts at the edge. Mr. Norris. Another youth voiced. You scarcely shifted there. But none of his efforts succeeded. How base? Chuck answered plainly. When your core is stable, minimal shift keeps you potent. He looked to the platform where Seagal persisted his spontaneous media talk. The martial arts path resembles constructing a home. Some emphasize decor before the base sets. The analogy resonated with the assembled combatants, many inclining reflectively. Across the venue, Riley Matthews had at last navigated past Thomas Chen's shielding and reached the platform border. Her filmer vied for spot as she stretched her mic toward Seagal, mid-clarification. Varied views, varied styles, he stated. My Aikido flows adjusts. Chuck stems from stricter classic roots, both legitimate, merely distinct uses. Mr. Seagal, Riley interjected. You first labeled Chuck Norris as beyond fighting and implied his methods outdated. Does the recent event alter your view? The query lingered, straightforward and inescapable. The throng, detecting drama potential, hushed a bit. Seagal's look strained briefly before fixing into a rehearsed grin. Background matters, Riley. We discussed advancement, flexibility. What occurred was a cordial swap between peers honoring each other's input to martial arts. He motioned broadly. Chuck's an icon. Undeniable. His spot in records is fixed. The cautious evasion registered with Riley, her reporting sense spotting the sidestep. So you maintain your prior label. Seagal's grin held, but a firmness appeared in his gaze. I believe the platform event stands alone. Chuck displayed lingering skills. I showed the smooth flexibility of contemporary Aikido. All gained insight. Before Riley could probe more, Thomas Chen entered smoothly, and that's the exact vibe of this evening's showcase, gaining across ages, approaches, and dialogue over rivalry. He checked his timepiece. And now let's proceed with our planned lineup. Folks, kindly greet our upcoming show, the Chen lineage's uncommon eagle claw routine, maintained over 15 eras. The declaration diverted focus effectively, permitting Seagal to leave the platform with his group, while next artists readied. As he went down the stairs, his poise faltered briefly. A spark of annoyance on his traits before the lens-ready grin resumed. Meanwhile, Chuck started returning to the elite zone. Still encircled by junior combatants, keen for further wisdom he could impart. Unlike Seagal's showy march through the masses, Chuck advanced quietly, his aura drawing notice without insisting. As he passed the timer station, a senior gentleman stood rigidly. Jim Kelly, the groundbreaking African-American martial expert whose path mirrored Chuck's. Though years had dulled his once rapid actions, the grace and strength that iconized him persisted intact. Chuck, he uttered plainly, offering his palm. Jim? Chuck grasped it kindly. Pleasant to see you. No fancy welcome, no stage-back taps, just the soft recognition between individuals who trod Akin roots and grasped the voyage's costs and gifts. That was remarkable, Kelly stated, inclining toward the platform. Evoked recollections. Chuck grinned faintly. Different stage, eternal teachings always. Kelly's gaze lined at edges. You managed it nicely. Better than perhaps I. We possess varied strengths, Chuck answered. Your tolerance wasn't your top asset. The soft poke drew a deep laugh from Kelly. Still isn't. But seeing you there, he shook his head, reminded what occurs when someone has zero to validate. As they shared soft terms, Miguel poked Darius, indicating them. See that history alive. Darius affirmed. Abruptly conscious, they observed something beyond the night's intrigue. A bond shaped over years of joint trials, mutual honor rooted in comprehension over rivalry. You see, neither requires boasting their greatness. He noted softly. They simply recognize. Across the venue, Seagal reached his spot, promptly ringed by his group. A helper passed his device. Display lit with alert after alert as segments of the platform swap circulated digitally. His look shadowed briefly as he browsed responses. They're overlooking the essence, he grumbled. Swiping fast. This wasn't regarding. He halted suddenly, jaw firming as he viewed something especially irksome. Meanwhile, the Eagle Claw show had started on the platform. The vintage routine's exact actions performed with stunning pace and command. Typically, it would seize the venue's complete focus. Tonight, though, talks buzzed in the tiers, all on what happened between the two film figures. Did you catch Seagal charging full and Chuck simply evaded? Man's 79 and flowed like fluid. That's advanced expertise. Seagal spouted all that criticism, then got educated without Chuck exerting. The comments spread through the masses, angles formed by each observer's link to martial arts. Some emphasized the skill swap, others the personal tension, but all knew they'd seen something true, an uncommon instance of depth in a field often ruled by display. As Chuck resumed his elite spot, now clearly apart from Seagal's seat where he frowned at his device, Riley Matthews neared carefully. Her director still pushed via audio for the key phrase, but her own reporting sense proposed another path. Mr. Norris, she initiated, care to offer your views on the recent event? Chuck pondered the query briefly. Two martial experts had a short swap, little else to add. But certainly more exists, Riley urged softly. Following Mr. Seagal's notes on your years and currency. This show appeared especially significant. Chuck's demeanor stayed peaceful. Martial arts never concerned disproving others, Riley. It's about affirming yourself correct daily, annually. The sole rival counting is yesterday's you. The deep plainness of the words surprised Riley. In a realm of clips and fabricated tension, such real insight seemed nearly confusing. And what message for junior martial experts who saw tonight's swap? She queried, steadying again. Chuck looked to the combatant zone where keen visages still faced him despite the current platform show. I'd note that method takes you limited. Soon, grasp the rules under the actions. Strikes and blocks mature with the form, rules endure forever. As Riley expressed thanks and departed, her director's voice hummed again. That's all. Return. Query him on Seagal directly. We require conflict. But Riley deactivated her audio, abruptly sure she'd seized something much richer than conflict, insight unfit for bait clicks. The showcase proceeded. Martial arts shows streaming one to next in a display of human skill and creative output. Yet across the venue, the mood had forever changed by the short swap between Chuck Norris and Steven Seagal. Like waves across calm liquid, their meeting had affected all, each interpreting the scene via their own trials. In the combatant zone, intense talks erupted among junior martial artists, their usual rival walls briefly melted by joint view of something beyond. That's mastery, Darius maintained, bending intently. Not showy actions or board breaks, it's motion economy. Ideal rhythm. Miguel shook his head, processing yet, but he hardly acted. If real combat, that's core, broke in a senior combatant listening quietly. He was 50s, his visage marked by years under tough hall beams and contest lights. Norris displayed precise what actual combat ought. Least risk, most streamlining, zero pride. Seagal's skilled in method. Another combatant added, those Aikido starts were ideal method, sans grasp is mere routine. The senior responded. What we viewed was the gap between one who acts martial arts and one who lives them. Near elite, Chuck had reclaimed his spot. Apparently untouched by the major swap that buzzed the venue, he viewed the ongoing show with true regard, sometimes inclining at well-done actions. To outsiders he could appear totally on now. The past tension forgotten. But Jason Miller, placed to watch both Chuck and Seagal, spotted something fine yet telling. Every several minutes, junior combatants neared Chuck tentatively initially. Then, bolder, as his kind welcome showed, they'd bend, pose a query, absorb his answer intently, and depart with renewed intent looks. No photos sought, no signatures chased, just short instances of true link and knowledge pass. Seagal, conversely, sat stiff in his spot, ringed by group, yet isolated somehow. His focus fixed on device, digits swiping quick as platform swap clips spread digitally. Sometimes, he'd whisper to a helper who affirmed vigorously. When enthusiasts neared, security blocked, permitting only if they showed fitting admiration. The difference darkest. One forging links, the other walls, one outward, the other inward. One apparently unbothered by global views, the other absorbed by them. Thomas Chen viewed this scene with the soft insight of one seeing martial artist generations ascend and descend. He headed to Jim Kelly's seat, positioning beside the trailblazer with a gentle sound, recognizing their joint training aches. Certain elements eternal. Kelly commented without intro, inclining toward the two stars. Chen tracked his look and grinned faintly. and certain should. You anticipated this, Kelly uttered. Not query. Chen's look stayed neutral, though satisfaction hint in gaze. I anticipated something. Details theirs. Wise veteran. Kelly laughed, placing them adjacent, having Riley question sequential. The youths required viewing. Chen uttered plainly, this wave. Such method skill, such physical talent, but he faded, seeking terms. But they master combat prior to purpose. Kelly completed, I've seen too, Chen affirmed. Subserving as another youth neared Chuck cautiously, got warm reception, and joined serious talk. They pursue methods like hoarders but overlook rules. They seek renown before building trait. And this night you provided a contrast unforgettable. Kelly noted, grateful grin spreading. Expertly handled. Chen declined with faint head shake. I just made room. Chuck and Steven occupied with their true selves. Across venue, Riley Matthews had withdrawn to calm spot, examining captured footage. Her director lingered near, both thrilled by spread potential and annoyed by Riley's avoidance of hype. We must unite them, director pushed. Adjacent chat response to events. Segments exploding digitally. Riley kept browsing footage, halting at instant. Chuck proffered palm to Seagal post drop. That's not core, she murmured. What mean? This is core. Clash solution tension. Ideal material. Riley gazed up, look reflective. No, meaning that's not martial arts core. Least per all I've questioned who truly comprehend. Director dismissed. Keep theory for extended version. Strike hot. Riley's digit paused over display, locked on Chuck's visage as he addressed youths after. That instance of true pass unrelated to lenses or public view. Something solidified in her. I'm taking another route, she stated surely. What route? Network desires eyes and they'll have. But not via fabricated tension between aging stars. She rose, scheme shaping. They'll have via displaying authentic in fake flooded world. Before director could object more, Riley headed to combatant zone where intense talks persisted among junior martial artists. Meanwhile, in calm spot near exit path, Seagal had ceased digital watch. Stowing device with sharp frustration move, his promoter neared warily, mindful of boss's soaring temper. Digital feedback mixed. Promoter started cautiously, but we can mold story. Few key chats, some background on swap. I grasp what occurred. Seagal broke in, tone tight. He timed lucky. If continued naturally, promoter affirmed fast, it was brief show, not true measure of precisely. Seagal aligned shirt edges, poise resuming as explanation matched self-view. Brief swap, people overread standard. Promoter felt secure. We should stress your kindness. How you made memorable for admirers by drawing icon to focus. Seagal pondered, affirming slowly. Yes, fits. He glanced venue to Chuck's spot, still interacting with youth stream. Complex flash on visage, blend of bitterness, confusion, and maybe faintest true interest. What shares he? He grumbled, nearly solo. Promoter tracked gaze. Likely battle tales. You know, old guards. But Seagal ignored. He observed as Chuck showed something to young female combatant. Fine stance tweak. Nothing dazzling, yet her look changed with abrupt grasp. Swap lasted maybe 15 seconds, yet held depths. For shortest instant, something like uncertainty on Seagal's traits. Not uncertainty of skills or feats, but deeper core. Then gone, replaced by rehearsed assurance, his public shield. Let's depart, he stated sudden. I've dinner with Shanghai producers. As group rushed to obey, Seagal threw last look to Chuck, gazes met short across gap and recognition sans terms. Gravity of years, parallel paths lingering between. Then Seagal pivoted and advanced to exit. Security paving route through enthusiasts and lens holders. On platform, current show of stunning capoeira aerial actions ended to eager cheers. As artists inclined and left, MC's voice echoed again. Folks, as we hit our showcase midpoint, we encourage visiting Masters area where various tonight's stars available for queries and shots. The throng shifted, some to snacks, others to marked zone where martial notables would session. Chuck stood from spot, courteously declining staff escort offer. As he advanced counter to throng flow, his advance leisurely yet purposeful, recognizing salutes with inclines and short grins, but holding direction. Jason Miller, observing nearby, realized Chuck headed not to Masters area scheduled, but to combatant prep zone behind main venue. Interest over caution. Jason trailed respectfully. The prep zone nearly vacant now. Most combatants viewing showcase or gearing for later shows. Chuck entered softly and headed to corner with laid mats. With systematic care he shed footwear, aligning neatly at mat border. Then advanced and started evident familiar sequence. Jason halted at entry. Abruptly intruder feel seeing private, yet couldn't depart. What occurred lacked platform drama earlier. No rival, no viewers, no outer approval, just lone forms through base patterns with detailed focus. The kata lacked dazzle, no impressive strikes or rapid blends, just classic karate bases done with accuracy turning plain to art. What hit Jason most was presence quality. Chuck brought each action as intent, and focused in vacant space as under thousands watch. He performs this pre and post every gathering. Soft voice beside Jason. Has 50 years. Jason pivoted to see Jim Kelly near, focus on Chuck's routine. Why? Jason queried, meaning at his stage with all feats. Kelly grinned faintly. That's his stage reason, that's feat method. He inclined to lone form on mat. Real martial arts labor occurs unseen. Public instance mere reflections of private doings. As watched, Chuck finished pattern, resumed start spot, and inclined formally to vacant space. Only then noted audience. Instead of shame or shock, he just inclined recognition. Mr. Norris, Jason started tentative. I hoped, meaning wanted query on platform occurrence. Chuck took small cloth, wiping palms systematically. What saw occur? Again query over answer. Jason starting to see this as Chuck's instruct way, pulling inside out over imposing. I saw. Jason halted, sorting thoughts. I saw one needless validate. Chuck inclined faint, urging continue. But unclear why take dare at all. Could ignore comments, stay seated. Could, Chuck queried softly. Basic query lingered, urging Jason rethink situation fresh angle. Kelly observed swap approvingly, spotting fine pass moment ahead. I suppose. No, Jason uttered slow. Not sans different message, Chuck affirmed. Each act instructs, each non-act too. Query isn't respond or not, but lesson response teaches. And lesson for Seagal, Jason queried. Faint grin on Chuck's visage. Who claims lesson his? The hint dawned Jason slow that maybe whole swap less placing Seagal and more showing rules to watchers. Before pursue though, instant broken by event planner arrival, winded slightly. Mr. Norris searched everywhere, master's area packed. Chuck affirmed, accepting break gracefully. Coming. He faced Jason. Continue practice. Answers via training, not talk. With that he left mat. Donned shoes with identical care as kata and trailed planner to main venue. Kelly patted Jason's arm. Count lucky youth. Some train years sans such direct instruct. But he barely shared, Jason uttered, confused. Kelly laughed, warm echo in vacant space. Precisely. With wink he headed door 2, leaving Jason solo with thoughts. In main venue, showcase resumed with spectacular Chinese wushu display. Artists twisting and jumping with streamers and tools in dazzling martial arts show. Yet in tears, talks circled prior swap between Chuck and Seagal. Riley Matthews collected small youth combatants near media zone, her filmer capturing lively talk. It altered my view all. Young female saying contest awards shining under venue beams. I've chased methods expanding toolkit, but Mr. Norris showed mastery not more actions. It's flawless base run. For me control. Another added, not mere physical, but feeling. Seagal tried insight hole and Norris avoided pride entirely. That's martial artist from Fighter Gap. Miguel added joining group. Any learn fight, not all learn why avoid. Riley's director, near watching, admitted footage compelling. Not fabricated tension he first urged, but seizing true cultural pass and next wave effect. As talk went, Chuck entered Master's Pavilion far venue side. Throng reaction instant. Surge ahead, devices up, voices calling. Guards moved order, but needless. Chuck raised palm faint, and chaotic vibe settled, changed by calm aura to orderly honoring. He started through throng, granting each near full focus. Term, clasp, sign, shot, no haste, no routine exchanges, each instant full before next. Watching far, Jason Miller grasped something eluded years training. Top experts didn't force honor via persona or threat. They built via presence quality, steadfast moment attention. Whether high-stake clash or basic fan chat. As he observed Chuck handle throng with identical centered serenity as platform, Jason grasped viewing not mere martial legend, but live rule embodiment underpinning true mastery. Modesty, accuracy, presence, and soft assurance from not superiority belief, but zero prove. Contrast with Seagal prior conduct instructive most, and that instant, amid showcase spectacle and vibe, Jason grasped received top lesson martial path, not terms or methods, but plain view of rule acting. Near media stage, Riley's youth interview wrapping. Her director neared, affirming reluctant. Okay, grasp now, he conceded. This angle functions, deep, significant. Viewers connect. Riley grinned faint, cause real not made tension, but true effect. She looked Master's Pavilion, where Chuck persisted engaging admirer stream. That's tale worth sharing. As showcase advanced to end shows, mood through venue subtly changed. Start thrill stayed, but tempered deeper, group awareness true mastery appearance. It's not mere martial method, but trait and behavior. And maybe that Thomas Chen's aim throughout, not just physical skill display, but space creation where martial arts' deeper teachings witnessed, taken, forwarded by fresh wave. The showcase vibe softened as night deepened, prior rapid pace yielding contemplative. And shows soon start classic routines by recognized experts. Intent return to bases post-hours dynamic modern exhibits. In participant lounge, shielded public, small cluster around Jim Kelly and other martial world veterans. Youths absorbed intently. Their typical rival walls brief dissolved before Lev history. That's missed on old times, Kelly saying, resonant tone carrying despite measure. No tutorials online or followers social. Learn direct from one who learned direct else. Knowledge personal passed via bond like unbroken link youth suggested. Kelly affirmed. Precisely and not mere methods, rules, outlook, purpose behind method, he looked circle. Today saw most record Chuck Seagal swap on devices. How many truly viewed? Query lingered. Soft challenge, few shifted uneasy, realizing focused more capture than live. I did, Jason Miller voiced from group edge. Or think, Kelly's look warmed. Share then Jason paused, aware sudden attention. Not methods. Seagal's Aikido starts textbook ideal. Mr. Norris's counters near invisible. Unless new seek he halted sorting. About aim, Seagal tried validate to Chuck, audience perhaps self. Chuck just being Chuck, lad grasps. Senior expert affirmed approving. When aim validate, center lost already. When aim express true self, real strength appears meanwhile. In calm VP lounge corner Chuck Norris sat solo first since showcase start. Declined many query requests, posed shots, signed items, answered endless queries. Now rare solitude. He sipped hydration and stared thoughtfully venue. Thomas Chen neared, bearing 2 small tea vessels. Sans words, placed one before Chuck and positioned adjacent seat, easy quiet between. Effortless still of longtime companions, long past constant talk need. After minutes, Chen voiced, you instructed vital tonight. Chuck's seasoned visage folded slight grin. They instructed selves, I supplied setting. Chen shook head amused and irked by friends' typical praise deflection, ever modest, not modest. Chuck adjusted softly, precise. They drank tea, observing staff tweak lights end part. Chen noted sent apologies missing close ritual. Evidently urgent producer dinner arose. Chuck affirmed unsurprised. He'll discover path soon. Chen brow up, believe, after years. Path long, Chuck answered plain, some detour. Across venue. Riley Matthews finalizing what became very different segment than first planned. Instead exclusive dramatic clash focus, expanded capture youth wave impact. How short swap solidified base truth's martial outlook. Her director first doubtful shifted post-footage view. This depth he conceded. Not spectacle substance, network may accept. In combatant prep zone Jason Miller practiced subtle mass shift Chuck showed brief interact. Not dazzling methods years perfected but base action enabling others. Miguel located him, repeating simple motion intense focus. Doing what, supposed ready final exhibit. Jason unbroken focus, I am ready more ever. Miguel observed moment, basic mass move, learned white belt. Jason countered moving, felt. Miguel paused, then Matt beside Jason, demonstrate. In main venue, MC welcomed 5 senior practitioners entered platform unhurried grace reps of karate, kung fu, taekwondo, aikido, judo. Each gave over half-century arts. Their show no spectacular flips, only ideal run foundational patterns generations unchanged. As positioned, Chuck and Chen back elite. Audience noting Chuck returned spontaneous cheers. Not prior frenzy but measured, honoring. Chuck recognized slight incline then full focus platform where first expert, 83-year Okinawa karate sensei started kata basically unchanged 300 years. To novice eyes, show might anticlimax, actions slow intentional, sans dazzle or drama. Yet hush over venue as elder expert moved breathtaking accuracy. Each position ideal. Each change flowing inevitable as water path. In combatant zone, youngest rivals watched fresh regard. Many first seeing profound possible in actions practiced thousands sans true grasp. Like found new in centuries techniques Darius whispered, not found Miguel adjusted soft. Recalled as show persisted. Chuck watched fullest focus. Attention steady despite countless views such forms life. Chen side glance friend grinned faint at trait qualities. Chuck's skill approach, most known martial aspects, fresh perpetual learner eyes near media stage. Riley paused edit watch classic routines. Hit how distilled night teachings pure action. 5 experts though varied styles, all live same vital qualities Chuck showed. Motion economy, ideal rhythm, presence sans pride, strength sans hostility. That's it, she murmured. Final part place, that's link. As experts rap show moving sync through base actions respective arts underlying oneness clear. Same core rules expressed varied body languages. Throng response unlike other night reactions. Not wild ovation or lively buzz, but deep echoing cheers acknowledging profound shared. That collective awareness instant. True night lesson solidified not Seagal show or Chuck masterful counter, but eternal rules they unintentionally showed. Gap between acting martial arts and living, between method impress and rule integrate transform self. As Chuck observed experts incline sync, quiet fulfillment settled him, not personal win, but understanding glimpse dawning youth combatants venue eyes. For clarity instant, light past not formal rite or complex method, but silent rule past sustained arts centuries change, and noise spectacle world. Perhaps silent past spoke clearer than terms. Dawn over Las Vegas, coloring desert sky soft amber gold strokes. Convention center quiet, vast lots near empty. Save maintenance rides, inside clean teams methodical through venue wiping prior night spectacle traces. Small cafe street opposite, Chuck Norris sat solo window. Steaming vessel untouched ahead as thoughtful gaze building, where 12 hours prior unplanned instant crystallized decades martial outlook single silent swap his Texas flight not till afternoon permitting rare solitude pocket public duties door chimes soft Jim Kelly enters scanning near empty before spotting old friend he ordered counter. Then Chuck table, settling opposite seat soft sound acknowledging joints stiff decades training. Thought might locate here, Kelly greeted. Still farmer schedule years. Chuck grinned faint, some routines hold. He motioned untouched coffee specially good. Sat easy quiet moment. 2 veterans parallel paths industry celebrated misunderstood represent. Friendship near 5 decades weathered fame storms age challenges youth fix culture. Quiet evening, Kelly observed finally tone casual, but gaze sharp. Chuck affirmed. Thomas assembled special, not planned wager. Kelly gaze lined amusement. But best teachings not schedule. Scene segments assume. Kelly queried post another easy quiet. Chuck head shake. Not viewed. Kelly laughed, unshocked, spreading fast. As youth's term, your Seagal drop viewed more his last 3 films total. Not drop. Chuck mild correct. Swap inform web. Kelly drank coffee term it arrogance authentic mastery meet. Concern hint on Chuck seasoned traits. Unhelpful him or martial arts. Kelly studied friend reflective still guard path, even strayers. Path guards self Chuck answered, but needless split aids none. On service Kelly shifted, that youth Jason Miller. Spoke post you depart kid special. Not talent, right queries, Chuck affirmed look warming faint. Grandpa taught well. Base first dazzle after, reminds one new day. Kelly noted dry grin. Young karat champ cared right over look good. Chuck phone soft vibrate table. Glance screen, faint line browse before answer simple. Norris, Kelly watched friend listen expression nothing. Understand Chuck post moment. When another halt fits, same spot fine. Ended call sans long farewells device back table. Issue Kelly asked, not quite. Chuck first coffee sip Steven assistant. Wants meet per town leave. Kelly brows rose. Unexpected. Is Chuck mild? Kelly pondered. Perhaps not. Think wants matter. Simple query between living same rule night prior showed. Respond what over speculate might. Parted outside. Kelly airport early flight. Chuck hotel prep surprise meet. Goodbye typical understated. Solid clasp short hug. Simple till next acknowledging precious future meets uncertainty age. Hotel room back Chuck 30 minutes quiet reflection. Routine maintained daily over 50 years. Schedule circumstance regardless. Then systematic accuracy through base drills series. Each action same focused attention public show. At exact 10 hotel courtyard garden. Surprising calm shielded strip endless stir strategic plants. Steven Seagal there already seated table under blooming desert plant. Usual shades despite dappled shadow. As Chuck neared, noted fine changes prior night. Seagal solo sans protective aids handlers typical surround. Clothing still dark notably less showy. Basic button top trousers over silk jewelry public self. Steven. Chuck greeted simple taking opposite seat sans wait invite. Chuck Seagal inclined once usual broad gestures gone. Appreciate time. Moment, quiet between. Not easy Chuck Kelly earlier shared, but charged filled unvoiced past wait prior night swap. About yesterday, Seagal started finally, then halted rethink approach. Chuck waited, neither fill quiet nor pressure end. Posture relaxed attentive, present sans expect. Seagal shid shades placing deliberate table. Small move nonetheless shift greater true. Eyes showed more perhaps intended fatigue sure, but less definable. Not quite modesty but perhaps thoughtful lead. What you platform, he continued, words unusual care, wasn't people think. Chuck brow faint up inviting detail sans demand. Call it drop, shame. Seagal head shake, but not occurred, could embarrass. Didn't observation lingered, notable accuracy, but fact Seagal noted at all. Wasn't point, Chuck simple answer, what point then? No challenge query just true search, perhaps first long no. Chuck pondered response careful, spotting rare opening ahead. Not chance lecture correct but share view one finally ready take honor instant. He uttered eventually to react true happening. Nothing extra less, Seagal affirmed slow taking. No plan Chuck confirmed, just there change Seagal look, faint ease eyes. Tension loosen held perhaps longer self knew. That's felt. He admitted that instant redirect my force. No oppose no control just clear. Been pondering something, Seagal continued. Post moment something first Aikido instructor shared forgot path. He gazed direct Chuck now look untypical open. Said true expertise not what do others but no longer need do self. Chuck look warmed faint recognition rule. One beyond style systems touch core all martial practice. Your instructor wise he simple. He was Seagal glanced brief, perhaps view younger self different wrote. Should listen better. All have instance Chuck offered. Not empty comfort but simple shared human trial recognition. Seagal regarded newfound interest. Even you faint grin Chuck weathered traits. Especially. Something surprised then, Seagal laughed. True sound sans performative quality long marked public self. Somehow hard believe Chuck. Always seem don't know, sure committed. Chuck soft correct, not sure. Different Seagal pondered distinction, affirming slow absorb meanings. Commit sans surety, take special. Belief Chuck suggested, in method. Post moment, Seagal took shades but not on. Instead turning idle hands decide shields still need. Seminar next month he final. Mostly youth's been pondering teach. He upgazed. Direct Chuck post last night rethink style, they'll react true Chuck offered. Youth combatants always. Sense even if unnamed. True Seagal repeated test words, been while thought terms. Silent moment then added surprising open hard return real. After years act return same forward Chuck said, one step time honest aim, rose together, meet natural end. As part prepare Seagal offered palm not performative grip prior night public clasp but simple straight. Thanks he said words plain sans qualify explain. Chuck gripped firm. Safe journey Steven. As Chuck walked garden path wind, phone vibrate incoming text. From Jason Miller. Youth whose true understanding search caught attention prior night. Mr. Norris text read. Pondered our talk, you said answer via practice not debate. Committing basics next year. No contests no advanced methods just base labor. Training mates think mad, but last night shifted view. Thanks show over tell. Chuck paused small fountain. Soft flow sound creating serenity bubble desert city. Type short reply. Path shows those stay. Continue. As morning sun higher, Chuck way back hotel entry. Ready finish visit final duties pray home return. Behind garden tranquil ordered. Alive desert flowers evolved millennia thrive earth tough spots. Like desert plants, true martial expertise needed not method, but adjust. Not strength, but endure not power, but wisdom know when how use. Most key needed roots deep surface, draw sustain hidden sources external harsh. These lessons Chuck lived brief Seagal swap. Lessons not full terms, yet spoke clear ready receive. Whether Seagal integrate insights seen, whether youth wave forward carry equal unsure, but unsure never stopped Chuck Norris. After all as told Seagal. Expertise needed commit sans surety belief process, even outcome unknown. Belief truth true express find mark ready take. And sometimes truth spoke clearest silence action sans explain, present sans act rule sans declare. Such silence weight carried further loudest brag, lasted longer dramatic display. For end true strength not measured others wins, but inner align allow world move authentic presence, respond what overreact not adjust sans compromise, stand firm sans stiff. As taxi left hotel, Chuck gazed brief convention center, where moments prior night, path illuminated uncommon clear. Then attention forward home continuing journey always mattered more any end. Next, 2 more amazing tales await. Click image want view and goes there. If enjoyed video ensure subscribe.